Sharia according to Islam itself. The meaning of Sharia. Sharia is the religious law that is derived from the Quran and the teachings of Prophet Muhammad, according to the proper understanding of Islamic scholars, particularly that of the early generations of Muslims. Sharia is compiled and interpreted by the fuqaha, or Islamic jurists, and acted upon by Muslims everywhere, and by chief scholars in different areas known as muftis, or judges known as qadis, if legal and social issues are involved, such as the criminal law, hereditary law, and others. Sharia literally means the path. It is the path towards the performance of deeds that please Allah, such as acts of worship, and the avoidance of what He has prohibited, such as sins. So technically, when a Muslim is giving alms, feeding the poor, donating blood, and doing other good deeds, he is following the Sharia. And when a Muslim stay away from intoxicating drinks, illicit sex, gossip, murder, theft, and other bad deeds, he too is following the Sharia. In Sharia, laws are not made to oppress the people. They are enforced in order to liberate them from that which will affect them negatively. They are enforced so that their well-being is protected. The goal of Sharia. Yes, in Islam, there are capital punishments for rape and murder, for example, and other harsh punishments for crimes, but all these are meant to protect the public. The goal of the Sharia is the protection of religion, life, property, intellect, and honor of Muslims and non-Muslim under a Muslim government. As you can see, death penalty is imposed upon a murderer who was proven guilty. This is for the protection of life itself, as death penalty makes sure that people will think twice before murdering anyone. The same is also prescribed for cases of adultery. This is enforced in order to protect the dignity of women and society as a whole. Gossip and backbiting are also strictly prohibited by Islam. Slander may even be a criminal liability to some extent. There is also the amputation of hands for the thief who has stolen an amount big enough not to be considered petty. This is for the protection of the people's property. Alcohol, drugs, and other vice are prohibited in Islam to protect the people's intellect, who may suffer alteration after the use of these. Some other cultural things are also prohibited in Islam, such as music and pornography that have the same mood alteration effect on a person as well. Sharia wants the people to become dedicated citizens who aim the pleasure of Allah and to serve His fellow human being, and it doesn't want its citizens to become selfish, blinded by passion, or to have any extreme feeling that he or she would later regret. And of course, religion is protected. That is why Muslims are strict that no part of this religion, big or small, shall be changed. Heresy and innovations in religion may become criminal offenses in a Muslim country because religious matters are not matters of opinion. They have already been revealed by Allah. A Muslim government also protects the religion of its non-Muslim populace by not allowing any forced conversions to Islam against them. These are the goals of the Sharia. But we must remember that Sharia also implements strict guidelines so that the people are protected from mistrials or execution of the innocent. A person stealing bread is obviously not a candidate for amputation, for example, or anyone accused of adultery or murder cannot be simply executed without due process. What the Sharia is not. It is ironic that what people know of the Sharia is the last thing that Sharia is or could ever be. Sharia isn't about the degradation of women. Women are prescribed to be covered in the Sharia in order to protect her, but she is perfectly free in every other part of her life as a sister, a wife, a mother, and a member of the Muslim society as a whole. Sharia protects women from being forcefully married to someone she doesn't like. Sharia enjoins women to be educated and be a productive and active member of the society, to become professionals, business women, leaders, etc., within the limits of the Sharia to protect her dignity. Sharia is not about death and killing. Rather, as earlier mentioned, a capital punishment is enforced by the Sharia in order to preserve life, so that corruption, vice, murder, or theft would not be taken lightly by the people, so that peace and order are preserved. But if a Muslim is living in a non-Muslim country with its own criminal law, the Muslim cannot simply enforce capital punishments according to the Sharia. Capital punishment in the Sharia shall only be implemented under a Muslim rule. Otherwise, a Muslim is enjoined by the Sharia to be a responsible citizen in whatever country or government he may belong to. Sharia is not anti-democracy. In fact, Sharia makes a country more democratic than any democratic country could ever be, by letting the people have access to their leaders to have their grievances addressed. Sharia even makes any leader or politician answer to the people. Sharia makes our leaders and politicians servants of the people, and not as kings and princes that democracy has made them to be. Sharia is not anti-Western. All these laws of Sharia are enacted to the people in order for them to live a healthy lifestyle, being away from morally corrupting external influences in others. If you see Sharia to oppose the hip-hop, metal, punk or emo, or any kind of Western culture, it is because Muslims have their own culture. We as humans have the mutual understanding that we should preserve and respect each other's culture as long as it's not damaging to others. What the Sharia is preventing is not Western education or technology. Rather, the Sharia is stopping decadence to reach the people that are under its protection, wherever it may be coming from, even if it is coming from Muslim lands too. Sharia is about protecting its people from drugs, moral corruption, pornography and others, while allowing the free flowing of beneficial information, trade and commerce between the West and Muslim states in medicine, science and technology. As a matter of fact, Muslims have long been partners of progress in Britain, the US, and other European countries, and these actions have been approved by the Sharia as long as they did not commit sin. We have doctors, engineers, and scientists who were Muslims, and the Sharia did not say anything against them. Terrorist groups may have their cruel laws that have been mistaken by people to represent Sharia, but obviously they are not the real Sharia of Islam. They are not the Sharia of Allah. They are not the Sharia of Prophet Muhammad. Sharia is the path towards Allah and towards all goodness. It is not the path of violence, radicalism, and terrorism.